think I deleted all the recordings from before. All right. Okay, so this should be recording. I think it's recording. We're gonna see. Okay, I promised you guys a video of me finishing up the markups, or if I didn't promise you, Abby came in and begged for one, and I don't remember which happened first. But I know that I, first of all, had only told you guys to do the first section, so you only have to go through section 2. Let me try locking this thing. They re-imaged my computer over the summer, and they took off all the settings that I'd had, which is very irritating. All right, so we're going to look at the verbs, and we did the verbs before. So you have your est. I think I yelled dubito was one as you guys were leaving. Referere, potest, regere, instruere, interfui, nescio, and solea. All right, so those are the ones. Oh, wait, I forgot. Punire, we talked because we did talk about the passive infinitives. Punire and quaere were both passive infinitives because they change from the ERE to the ERI or the IRI. All right, I think that's where we left off. I may have given you the vocative. Did we talk about the vocative? I can't remember. Hold on. I got an orange pen here somewhere. Oof. All right. And then domine was vocative. Okay. We talked also about how when you're addressing letters in Latin, you would start with the nominative of whoever is writing the letter, right? So Gaius Plinius is writing the letter, and then he is writing to the Emperor Trajan, okay, which is going to be in the dative, so that's going to be here. And that's just how you did it. You just had the nominative followed by the dative. Okay. Um, I'm trying to remember. Did we do any of the others? I think you guys remembered that mihi is also dative. Mihi is also dative, always dative. And I cannot remember if we talked about this pronoun. I feel like we should briefly touch base on this pronoun because it's such an important pronoun. Mostly because it just shows up everywhere. Do you remember this? Ego, tui, tibi, te, te. So the thing is here is that this is nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. This is only the singular. Of course, the plural of this. Wow, okay, forget this. This is two, tui, tibi, te, te. I went totally in a random direction. My brain must be fried. But let me go ahead and do the ego, mei, mihi, me, me. Okay, sorry. It's the same thing. They're both singular. This one means you. This one means me or I. All right. And they just show up quite frequently, especially the dative and the accusative or ablative. Like these forms just show up everywhere. You're going to see tu and ego fairly regularly. What you're probably not going to see very often is the tui or the me. And those are because those pronouns became so common in the genitive form that the Romans took them out and made them their own adjective. And you get tuus and meus. And we'll talk about those later. Okay, so we'll talk about those later. But right now, what you have is the tu, tui, tibi, te, te, and the ego, me, mihi, me, me. And the biggest takeaway is that whenever you see a tibi or mihi, they are dative, always. The te and the me are more frequently, I would say, accusative than any other, but they'll show up in the ablative every once in a while. Okay. And I like to point that out because it's kind of an easy spot and it is very recognizable. And there's only, there's nothing that looks like mihi or tibi. They're just mihi and they're tibi and they're always dative. Okay. When we've done that, I think I told you guys last year, always go for the prepositional phrases next. So we see a couple here. You got day. And remember, prepositions or prepositional phrases can only go in two ways. They can either go with the accusative or the ablative. When we see day here and it's followed by an ibis can be dative or ablative. So this one has to be ablative, right? Because it can't be anything else. Ad te, okay. Remember I just told you guys that te is probably accusative. So we know that ad here is a preposition and it's going to be in the accusative. Let's see, are there any other? Oh, de here, de Christianis. Now, de we also had up here and it took the ablative, which means that this is also taking the ablative. Prepositions will either take the ablative or the accusative, okay? They only take one or the other. There's only really one exception to that rule that you will ever see, and that is in. In can go with both the accusative or the ablative, but it's kind of the only one that you're going to see frequently. All right, there are a couple others, but this is the one that you see. Otherwise, a preposition, once you've discovered that it goes with the ablative, has to stay with the ablative. And that also comes into play later on. And I know this is a lot of rules, and you guys are like, but why? And I'm going to say just because, and I will explain it more later. Okay, I don't see any other prepositions. I think those are them. All right, and once you finish with the verbs and the prepositions, you are kind of over halfway through, and that does make things a little easier. Now, adeo is an adverb. I wouldn't worry about it. If we want to look at accusatives, and I think some of you do love the accusative because there are some of these that are very easy to spot. For example, ignorantiam with the am there, that's an accusative. Meam, remember that accusative plural pronoun that I told you guys, the meus, the mea, there you go. And cunctionem, em, probably also accusative. So those are kind of helpful. All right, we're making this down into something that's a little more try that again. Manageable. There we go. Melius, look at the US. You know, that might, let's leave Melius alone. That might just be actually the adverbial form. Let's look at quis. Quis is nominative. It's always nominative. It's just the way it is. The other tough one here is omnia. This one is accusative. All right, and how do I know that omnia is accusative? Well, because omnis, omnis, omne. Okay, here. It's a third declension adjective, okay? Omnis, omnis, omne. And the thing about omnis is in the plural, it would be omnes for masculine or feminine. And for the neuter, it's omnia. Okay. And omnia is always neuter. And it's something that shows up so often. This is another vocab word you might as well just memorize. It is either nominative or accusative plural. And that's all it can be. And it is kind of a gimme again when you see it, it's either nominative or accusative plural. So we see there's a omnia here, and I'm telling you it's accusative. And I can tell you it's accusative because we have a subject right here with a dubito. And if you guys forgot, what is the subject of dubito? Remember the O equals I, right? It equals a first person singular. So right there, when the dubito, because it ends in O, I doubt omnia. Okay, well, that works. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, quid is also acting in the nominative here. It's an indirect question. And then quantianus with the US is also in the nominative. Okay, don't worry about the adeo. Numquam here just means never. The only other one that really is going to be of some substance here is the cognitionibus. And what's helpful here to know is that interfui, if you were to look it up, takes a dative. Okay. And it means I was present at, or I was present among. And that kind of makes sense. So I was present among, oh wait, dative is pink. Dative is pink. Pink, right? Right? I think so. Mr. Saltstein, dative used to be green for the longest time. And it got changed. All right. So there we go. That should be the markups that you need. All right. Let's go ahead and make Melius in the nominative too, because it's going to be modifying quis. Okay. All right. So there are your endings, or not your endings, but there is your markup. I went a little quickly, but we did do half of this in class. I would encourage you to go through this again, maybe make sure you know it and read it a couple times before you come to class, and then we can discuss more tomorrow. All right, bye.